Alright guys, it's Tom here, Stadia Arcadia. I just wanted to put out a quick video after just having the GDC announcement, Game Developer Conference with the Google developers specifically. Some pretty good news out there, but I mean, the thing that I wanted to sort of have a chat about really was two things. The first of that being the Stadia Makers program, which for all intents and purposes seems like it's going to be a sort of an indie platform, if you like, a chance for small-time developers to be able to create games and publish them on the Stadia platform, which for me I think is actually a really good move by Google. I personally love the idea of seeing some of the smaller games come to the platform. Obviously I want the big AAA titles as well, everybody does, but I think back to some of the days like Xbox Live Arcade, things like that, where I played a ton of really good fun games that I know for a fact I wouldn't have come across had it not been for a platform like that. And I really hope that the Stadia Maker platform could become something just as similar as that. I'd be really keen to find out what you guys think about that, so please drop some comments and let me know whether or not you think that's something that you would support on Stadia, or if the other way around, you're not interested in seeing that and you just want more of the bigger games. I think it was key to see that the development team behind the Google platform, if you like, are very interested in making the mobile world way more accessible to developers. We've seen a lot of new tools and features being added to the Android marketplace, not in terms of consumer, as in development, sorry, and they want to make it as easy as possible for people to get games into that ecosystem, to be able to test them, break them down within the engine itself, and really just get a much better understanding of how it works. The idea of bringing in open testing as well, that to me is a fantastic idea, and we know that these kinds of things will come in, like Baldur's Gate 3, we know about early access being a thing and coming to Stadia, so that kind of goes hand in hand with that. They need to be opening up the platforms so that developers can have a lot more freedom about what they share with people before games are released, so that they can get some real world feedback and hopefully publish full games. And by that I don't mean no DLC, I mean games that have been tested and not just by a closed QA team, because all too frequently we see games go through QA and then they come to the real world and there are very simple bugs that just weren't found throughout that QA process, and in the real world application lots of people do things very differently, and the more people that try a product out, the more people that are going to find problems with it. So I think it's a key thing for the development, and these are likely to find their way into the Stadia Makers program once that's more established. So yeah, really think that's a key thing. One of the big things I took away from it. Obviously we got the other announcements, which are great in terms of bringing on a third party to try and help improve the communication across Google Stadia. So at the moment there is no text chat-based system. I think we'll see an implementation of that shortly, and obviously to improve the voice side of things as well. I personally use Discord more than I use the in-game party system. Although it works, I just find there's a higher level of freedom to do other things, and obviously you can have more people as well. But there are improvements that are a step in the right direction. These are the kinds of things we want to see coming through, and we're now starting to see them, so that's again very good. The other thing that I wanted to address, sorry about the noise by the way, the other thing I wanted to address within this video was, I don't really know how to go about it actually, but the sheer volume that they showed of people that are going to be working with Stadia. Now, again, we got to see the likes of EA mentioned within this, which have been very, very quiet throughout this onboarding process so far. To know that they are coming is quite a big thing to me. I know in the chat I've seen a lot of people talking about things like Apex Legends, Fortnite, and all the sort of the big games that have come around in the last couple of years that are either on a free-to-play basis or just they've taken off very well in their respective platforms. Now, I don't think we are going to see a lot of this. I think these partnerships that are forming you're going to get some ports, but I think a lot of it will be for new IP, well, not necessarily new IPs, but new games. So a big criticism I see of Stadia is that the games that they bring on board, which are generally ports, aren't running in native 4K 60 frames, and I think the only way we're going to get that is seeing these games that are developed from the ground up with Stadia in mind, not necessarily exclusive, just knowing that they are going to be featured on the Stadia platform. We know that the development teams are going to input more time on these features for Stadia if the game is being built right now, rather than coming to a close right now, or is already built and requires just sort of horizontally porting across to another platform. Developers aren't going to spend huge amounts of money on doing that. They will be happy to get a game on Stadia in either an upscaled or even a 1080p in some instances like The Crew 2. This isn't a huge issue. I think we would rightly be more worried if we started seeing new games that were coming out in 2 years' time that still couldn't take advantage of the architecture of Stadia. But personally, I don't think that's going to be an issue. And finally, I also wanted to, sorry, something in the road there. I also wanted to address the fact that we've seen this Android Play Pass. There's been a lot of chat ever since we first seen what Stadia was going to be about being a Netflix of gaming, and quite obviously that's not the case. Now, what I do think we will be seeing here is this is almost going to be like a test platform. Mobile play is actually the largest sector of gaming in the industry, believe it or not. It's hyper casual and it includes such a varied array of games, from sort of brain trainer games all the way through to your PUBGs and your CODs on mobile now. It's a huge market for gaming, and it's getting bigger and bigger. More people have a mobile device in their pocket, and we're getting to the point now where we're starting to see 5G handsets roll out. We know 5G is being implemented right now. Gaming is going to become much more ubiquitous, and that's a great thing. It will then trickle into the other more dedicated routes such as consoles, Stadia, PC gaming. We're going to see more and more of these things become more and more mobile in the nature of being able to take way more with us as we go, and this will be a perfect way for them to introduce people to a Game Pass mode on mobile that they can then very easily just sort of switch on Stadia, and it's another way of increasing revenue, and more importantly, it's a way for us as consumers to get a wider taste of games as they're onboarded. There are 100% games that will come out that people will not buy at a retail price, yet had they had the option to play that game for a nominal fee, and it's included within a bundle of many other games, it's gonna improve sales figures, or not sales figures necessarily. It will improve the figures for the developers and the publishers in terms of the player base, which obviously means more revenue. Now, for me, Monster Energy Supercross 3 is a perfect example of this game on Stadia. I was lucky enough to receive a review copy, and I then got to play the game without having to buy it, and that's an important thing for me to mention in this. I wasn't on the point where I wanted to drop full retail price to play that game. Having now played that game is fantastic fun. It's It's just not what I expected, but I played an awful lot of time in it because I had it. Now, from playing that, I would not be adverse at all into having to purchase that game. Say I got given a copy for, I don't know, 72 hours. I would have bought that game after that time period. It's a really good fun game. It's solid. The physics are fantastic. It plays perfectly. It's not an easy game, but that's not a problem. And I am not a motocross fan, so I wasn't the appealing demographic to that game, yet I picked it up and I played it. I found myself very at home with it quite quickly and played it with friends, and it was an absolute blast. Some of you will have seen it during the Stadia Super Saturday on Megatron X's portion of that. There were a handful of us all playing it together, and we had a ball. That time flew by. We were laughing to the point of almost being in tears at points, and that's the sort of social interaction that these kind of games can bring you, that you don't think of when you are thinking of purchasing it. You are looking at, what does the game look like? Is it something that I'm generally interested in? And will I play this? Bearing in mind whatever I've got in my catalogue already. Game Pass on Stadia is, I feel it's the future of what it will become. And I'm not saying that's all it's going to be. Sorry guys, I got a phone call come in and it interrupted my video then. So as I was just saying, that the Game Pass for Stadia isn't the be-all and end-all of the platform. I just think it's something that will come to the platform, and it will help spread the player base on the platform. It will help the publishers and the developers out by getting their games in front of more people. And I just think it means that the content is easier to go after. If you know that you can apply it to more people, it's why all the other platforms have this in some way, shape or form. Realistically now, you get Humble Bundle on the PC, you get Xbox Live Game Pass or Windows 10 Game Pass as well now. PlayStation Now is a bit different, I believe. I'm not a PlayStation user, so I'm not 100% on that, and whether or not they have something that rivals it, I don't think they do actually. But it's a popular way of getting games in front of people and getting the player base to grow and try games that wouldn't necessarily appeal to them. So I really think that this is something that's coming. As I said, seeing that happen for the mobile side of Android, I feel like it's almost a beta test in itself. See how quickly it's taken up on, and then roll that over to Stadia. So let me know what your thoughts are on all of the things that we spoke about today in the comments below. That'd be awesome. Hit like if you've enjoyed the content. Give us a subscribe if you've not already done so. And look, I'm going to be doing some more content. I know I've been dry recently, guys. I've been working quite hard with StadiaSource guys to get some other initiatives off the ground. But now I'm going to start getting some of my own content out again as well. And yeah, just let me know what your thoughts are on this. Did you watch GDC? Anything else that stood out for you? Far away, guys. Catch you later. Cheers. Bye.